Hey everyone, welcome to today's product demonstration of the Nutrient Document Authoring SDK. For those of you who haven't seen document authoring yet, you're definitely in for a treat. I'm Greg Ives with the product marketing team here at Nutrient, and joining me today is our VP of Product, Milos Jekic. Milos, as always, it's an absolute pleasure
Hey, Greg.
with you, man. It's good seeing you.
Likewise.
Excellent. Well, we will see you in a few minutes. I'll go ahead and get things kicked off. So before we jump into that amazing demo, I do want to cover a few housekeeping items. We know everyone is very busy, so we try to keep these webinars short and sweet. So we're going to come in and right around 30 minutes or so today. If you have any questions during today's webinar, just find the Q&A functionality. It should be off to the right side of your screen. Also, just a quick note, you will see that we pre-recorded the actual demo portion of the webinar so that Milos is available to answer any questions you may have along the way. Finally, yes, this webinar is being recorded and will be available on demand on our site as soon as the webinar is over. All right, on to the agenda. First, many of you attending today might have missed our recent announcement around our rebrand. So to start things off, I'm going to give a 60-second overview of the new company and why we rebranded. Then we'll jump into why you're here today, and that's to learn more about Document Authoring SDK. After a quick overview, I'll hand it over to Milos, where he'll run through a demo of some of the common use cases that we see. And then at the end, we have saved some time for a few questions. All right, so to kick things off, you're likely aware that we made a major announcement recently with a complete company rebrand. Whether you knew us before as PS PDF Kit, Mahimbi, Orpolis, Aquaforce, or even Integrify, we are now Nutrient. Same company with all the same technology, just rebranded under a single banner with a single mission. And that mission is to evolve how humans experience and interact with documents. With the rebrand, we now have an unrivaled suite of document solutions all under one roof. Whether it's our industry-leading SDKs, our N365 low-code solutions, or our workflow automation platform, we take pride in simplifying the complexity you face with speed, savings, and security, ultimately to become your solution for today's digital document challenges, but also, more importantly, to be your partner for tomorrow's document innovations. We are Nutrient, and we are thrilled to be building the future of document innovation alongside of you. All right, now before I hand things over to Milos, I wanted to give a quick overview of the Document Authoring SDK. As we all know, most of the document editors out there on the market come with their share of limitations. Two of the most common complaints we hear about those other editors are that they lack the necessary editing tools and that they struggle to convert file types. That means developers are having to sacrifice user experience for a task as simple as editing a document. That's why we developed Document Authoring SDK. Introduced late last year, document authoring is designed to keep your users more engaged by providing a familiar, easy-to-use WYSIWYG user experience. In fact, as you'll see in just a moment, it's eerily similar to the word processing you'd find in Google Docs or Microsoft Word. Document authoring also helps streamline your document workflows. For instance, you're able to open DOCX files and export edited documents to DOCX or, with perfect fidelity, to PDF. Document authoring helps save users time and effort by allowing you to open, design, edit, and export even the most complex documents from the convenience of a web browser. Finally, developers are able to leverage the versatility of our proprietary backward-compatible doc.json format to easily onboard, serialize, and deserialize while maintaining the adaptability needed for complex document handling. But don't just take my word for it. Let's see it in action.
I can't wait to show you what we've done here. Through the course of this demo, I will walk you through document creation with templates and show you how the SDK handles working with DOCX files and how it makes perfect fidelity PDFs. I'll then briefly show you how we built translation into the document editor by using doc.json, our proprietary file format that's compatible with Microsoft Word, and an LLM. And then I'll spend some time showcasing all the word processing capabilities, talk a little bit about how the future looks like and what's the vision driving us to make this product the golden standard for browser-based document authoring and templating. Let's dive in. I don't know if you know about this, but we have this awesome nutrient repository. It's you can access it in GitHub. It's public, and we'll share the URL at the end of the webinar. If you're working with our tech, I strongly suggest starring it or something because we publish a bunch of examples in POCs here all the time. But the one example that I want to show you today is this one, Document Generator Vanilla JS. I actually built this one myself, and I did it, only to demonstrate how easy it is to work with our Document Authoring SDK. As the title says, this is just vanilla JavaScript. And my my JS skills were more than enough to get this to work. So there's a bunch of instructions there if you want to run it yourself. But I'm now going to just, after calling the repo, it's basically npm start, and I should get a server running here. There we go. Okay, so this is a document generator. The idea is to get from a template and some data to a decently formatted PDF on the other end. So I have a couple of pretty fun templates in DocJSON format, a demo, checklist, invoice, and menu. And the fact that they're in DocJSON means they're stored somewhere in the server. This is what we use to serialize documents. And, well, it's JSON. Let me grab that checklist template. So what happened is I took that DocJSON from the server. I opened it up with our Document Authoring SDK's editor. Please disregard this watermark. I'm using an evaluation copy of the SDK. By the way, this is how the code for this looks like, right? It's like just load the document. I'm fetching it from the backend, literally. It's that trivial to get it running. And then, this is how the DocJSON looks like, by the way. It's a JSON. It has structured, it's very familiar to me. I can read it. There's a bunch of formatting here. I don't know, looking at this for them, the ultimate checklist. Yeah, it's like right here. It's like some sort of text with that's actually a subtitle, left align, indented this much and that much, blah, blah, blah. It's very, very easy to read, actually. Now, in a few minutes, I'll show you what we actually built without the UI using DocJSON. But this template I just opened, I can already immediately edit it, right? And then I'm using some pretty standard, template notation. These brackets are used as delimiters to describe a variable. This hashtag describes an object. I expect whatever templating engine grabs this to be able to iterate through objects. And I have a title. I have some sections. Each section has a title and a bunch of items, and then all items have a text. And this is what I expect to be rendered by the templating engine. So let's leave the template be at the moment and just move to the next step. Here I basically loaded a pretty fine JSON data file and used this open source highlighting tool to make it look pretty. And you can see here that I've actually configured these delimiters to match what is in the template. Let me rename this to like Milos because I can, and then just took it to the next step. So what happened here was I took the template from the first step, which was a DocJSON, and I exported it as a DOCX. Then I took the data JSON from the second step and delivered both that DOCX and that data to our web SDK, which has a built-in Office templating engine, and I extracted it to generate a DOCX. And then I took that DOCX, imported here, and now you see it right here, and we're editing a DOCX. Here's how this looks like in code. It's pretty straightforward, right? I'm essentially grabbing that template document. I'm exporting it as DOCX. I am instructing the PSPDFKit instance, which is our web SDK, to populate a document template. I'm giving it that particular document, and I'm giving it the data JSON. By the way, when in doubt, just ask here with the SKI thing on our website how to, export DOCX with authoring SDK. It's going to give you a very, very good response, very good guide. And I think we are about to launch a GitHub Copilot extension as well, so you can literally do all of this in VS Code. But back to the topic at hand. Obviously, this really didn't turn out that well, doesn't look like a checklist, so I'm briefly going to go back 2 steps and fix this in the template itself. So I'm missing a space here. I'm going to do a new line here, and I think this will fix it. Let's next this thing. There we go. Amazing. So again, right, authoring SDK generated a DOCX template. Web SDK took the DOCX and that JSON data, generated this DOCX output, which I then opened up with the authoring SDK. And now I can basically do some final styling changes. Let's do this. Let's make this next page. This looks polished enough to me. Looks exactly like a checklist. And next step, boom. I just used the authoring SDK to export the document from the editor into PDF. If you disregard, the evaluation watermark here, you will see that the document looks exactly like it did in the editor. So we're talking pixel perfect, 100% fidelity. Okay, let's recap real quick. What can you do with document authoring? You can create a template from scratch or by importing a doc.json or docx. Obviously, the doc.json could have been assembled somewhere programmatically as well. I mean, it's JSON. Then you can edit a document, let's say the output of applying data to a template with the Web SDK, again, either doc.json or docx, all in the browser, and export a pixel perfect PDF. So imagine if you're building, a signing app, and you could basically cover the entire lifecycle. User uploads a template they've authored with, Microsoft Word, or they pick from one of your predefined templates. Then they use doc authoring to tweak the template. Web SDK, for example, generates the document based on some data. The user applies, their name appears everywhere where the signature is expected, for example. And then the user tweaks the final outcome before moving to signing. If things went terribly wrong because the template didn't work out, just go back and edit the template, right? All inside your app. And then finally, the user gets a pixel perfect PDF, which they can sign with our Web SDK. And for example, if it needs to be digitally signed, use our DWS API to apply a PARIS compatible signature, whatever. I hope you like that. And before I deep dive into editing capabilities, I promised to show you how we built the translation into this thing. Okay, so we are basically translating a document live while it's opened in the authoring SDK. But in the back, what we're doing is we're grabbing that doc.json and knowing and understanding the structure, we're shipping it to an LLM and telling the LLM to translate from source language to destination language, and then we're simply replacing the content of that in the document itself. It's just very, very easy to do. So now I'm going to go to our online demo. So this one does not have a watermark. It annoyed me a bit there. And if the depth of application of our authoring SDK has demonstrated didn't win you over yet, well, let's talk about the editing experiences. I'm going to actually open up a document. It's a docx document, and I have created this one myself. All right, so I've used this exact demo to create this document literally from scratch. And my takeaway from the experience is, it's fast, it's smooth, it's very reminiscent of the experience you get with Google Docs. But this one, you can actually plug into your app, right? It also doesn't care much about the size of the document. I've opened crazy big Word documents, and there was no slowing down or anything. It's such a well-optimized, lightweight SDK. So what do we have here? For starters, I want to show you page layout options, right? So this already makes our editor very unique, especially when looking at some browser-based DOCX editors, right? This is as powerful as you'd expect from MS Word. Look, if I change things, let's move to AI5, for example. Look how the content perfectly reflows. I mean, there's some page breaks here that we can fix, but then it's just phenomenal, right? Let me go back to A4 because I just like it better. You've noticed that I'm using this red color for like headings, and that's actually one of our brand colors, code Coral. This is pretty neat, right? The document actually had its own styles. This document, I already authored it myself, so I saved them, and this works exactly like that if you open up something that you've created in Microsoft Word. Like, you get this same experience that you get with Google Docs or, I don't know, Microsoft Word. And if I want to make a change, let's say I want to make all headings green. I think this one is called Data Green, also one of our colors. I can grab this and say update heading 1 to match, and boom, all headings are now green. So again, very, very powerful. And again, if you pull it from Microsoft Word, you open up a DOCX file, it would just all work. No need to, like, I don't know, reformat anything, which is pretty cool. I bet you also noticed this image here, right? So yeah, images are definitely supported. You can actually like insert them from the toolbar. And then when they're there, you can, I don't know, move them around, resize them. Doesn't look that well though, so I'll try to bring it back as it was. It works pretty good. But in this particular version that I'm showcasing at the moment, we still can't move them around, but this is about to land. Actually, I can show you a little bit of a sneak peek. So don't mind this very testy document, but look at this image right here. I think it's a goat or something. I can actually move this one around. So this is all just working already, but it still hasn't landed in that version over there. So yeah, I mean, we're soon going to be supporting dragging images around and whatnot. Now, obviously, there's a lot of rich text formatting, starting with the font. So there's a lot of built-in fonts, but you can expose the SDK to a bunch of custom fonts in a similar way in which our web SDK works when you're doing things like editing PDFs, right? Then there's obviously text size. And, you know, please notice how I'm like double clicking and triple clicking to select text here. All these are like well-established controls, right, in the Void. And both with the mouse or trackpad, keyboard, all of it is just supported out of the box, right? Then there's your classics, you know, bold, italic, whatnot, underlines, and I don't know, strike throughs that you'd expect. It just all works like a charm. Let's move on to text color. I mean, you've seen me do this with like the titles and whatnot, but we support custom text colors, right? Which you've already seen. The reason why these are here is because I've saved them with the document, right? So if you open up a DOCX, there were some custom colors there, it will just pull them in. Same goes for doc.json as well, right? So you can just add a custom color, drop the hex right there, or play with this selector, and I mean, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? Moving on to things like alignment, everything you've come to expect, from left to right, and justify and center, and then let's go straight to lists. I mean, you can already see that these are supported. Let me deal with this break. These are already supported. There's actually multiple levels supported. I can indent, I can outdent. Sorry. And I'm actually using keyboard shortcuts, right? But I also have these toolbar buttons for that as well, so I can play with that. There's multiple levels of hierarchy supported, pretty smooth. You can obviously play with the styling of the list and enumeration, so you can see it here, right? I can grab this thing and say, pardon me, and say, I don't know, I want this style and that style. And it will just figure it out. Same goes for enumeration. I can turn this into a numbered list. I can play with numbers, indent, and do things. And obviously I can play with, restarting and continuing previous numbering. All of that is already supported. Something I find to be extremely useful is this one. You can actually go ahead and clear all formatting. I've seen, I don't know, this is what your users are going to expect. I've seen a bunch of these like rich text that are in even word processor level DOCX editors similar to ours here that simply don't have this option. I can tell you it will be missed. Let me show you something that's not here actually, which is tables. So you can go ahead and insert a table from the toolbar, and then you can play with things with a dedicated menu, like add some rows, add some columns, and then I don't know, let's grab a couple of columns and style them a little bit, give them a background. Let's grab these and give them some different borders, for example. I like that. Left, right, bottom. Cool. I'll give them some inner different colors, right? Because we can. Amazing. So pretty much things that you can also do in the likes of Microsoft Word, not necessarily Google Docs, right? But the cool thing is that when you import a table from a Microsoft Word document, you don't really lose any formatting, which is extremely important, especially for table heavy documents like, I don't know, invoices and stuff like that. So you just don't lose any formatting. And one of the reasons also is the fact that you can play with paddings for these individual columns, but you can also play with column width, right? By the way, I'm using centimeters here. I'm used to that, but you can just use, I don't know, points or inches or whatever I guess works for you, and then everything sort of adjusts, right? So inches, right? Or you can just set auto width, which is just amazing. And again, the most important thing here is if your users are using their previously built DOCX templates for something, I don't know, when they import, there's just no need to reformat anything. I'm not sure if you've seen this, but I've been doing a bunch of undo redo, right? And I've been using the keyboard shortcut for that, but there's obviously the toolbar option as well. So undo, redo, it's a lot of history there, and it just works. So I've been using Command Z and Command Shift C. By the way, I'm on a Mac. And there's one more really, really cool thing that I really like. It really helps, and that's this one. It's formatting mark, right? You remember that from Microsoft Word. It's just super useful, especially when you're dealing with this multiple styling options and whatnot. And I don't know if you noticed this, but when you're going through the toolbar and whatnot, you can actually see that there are some keyboard shortcuts, right? So see line break, section break. I've seen this one has like Command Shift P. Let me try that. Command Shift P. Yeah, it all just works. And there's also, as you've seen, the option to insert some breaks. So line break, cool, and then a section break. Let me try a keyboard shortcut. So Command Shift and return, boom. Yeah, there we go. And a page break with command return. By the way, I'm using my trackpad now to zoom in and out. Again, stuff that you'd expect to just work, but there's obviously also that convenient toolbar item as well. I already told you can configure the preferred units, but that reminds me, the UI will actually support localization out of the box. Not in this version, but I can show you a sneak peek of that as well. Here's a version of it that should have, yeah, there we go. So I can select a different locale. We used these three to start with. So I just switched to French, and as you can see, everything is in French. and that goes for the context menu, which by the way also exists. Copier, I'm not sure if I'm giving it justice, but you know, coller, I have no idea. Sorry, I really can't read French, but maybe I can try with German. Nope. Anyways, if you're wondering if left to right is going to be supported with localization, the answer is yes, absolutely. Quick reminder, while we're on the editor, you can always export to DOCX or export to PDF. In both cases, what you see here is exactly what you're going to get. So, I mean, let's try it. Let's download a PDF. Yeah, see that? Pixel perfect fidelity. Okay, that was it, folks. But before I let you go, I really want to tell you a little bit about the future. So this is what we'll be working on. We'll be improving the fidelity of the DOCX import as we support more and more word processing capabilities such as, I don't know, headers and footers, image manipulation, page numbers, etc. Then we'll work on introducing collaboration, starting with comments, suggesting changes, real-time collaborative editing, and of course, comments and red lines will be compatible with MS Word. We'll be introducing document versioning, built-in assistance for content creation, but what you will love, and is actually one of the first things that will land in the SDK, we will enable programmatic content manipulation. Yes, there's going to be an API that will allow all this editing magic programmatically. Now, when you add to this the fact that the entire UI that you see here is built using our design framework, which is themable, uses tokenization to bring things like light, dark mode, element states, etc., you will be able to create fully custom interfaces for content creation. So there's going to be an API to do all this editing, and you can completely revamp this UI, or at the bare minimum, theme it to completely fit into your look and feel. Our design framework is there from the get-go, and that means you'll be able to just completely customize this toolbar and the context menu eventually and whatnot. In fact, we'll likely already use all that customization power to bring to life a more advanced template creation interface. Thinking about all this, you can see how much we want to make this product the future of content creation and document authoring for the browser. There's so much more to come from this team. I mean, if you ask me, I'm pretty sure we'll be editing PDFs like this at some point as well with this level of user experience. And it already works so good. The experience is just already great. I haven't been so excited to showcase a product in like forever. It is truly a plug and play Google Docs experience for your web app. Thank you so much for your attention.
Milo, what an amazing demo. Really nice work. So as everyone just saw, we made it as easy and as intuitive as possible for end users to design their documents, no matter the use case. We've provided advanced features like complex tables, undo, redo, and sophisticated numbering. And with the ability to open and work on DOCX files and then save edits back to DOCX or even export to a PDF, document authoring ensures that documents look consistent across all browsers and when saved. All right, so that brings us to the end of today's presentation. If you have any questions about what was just covered, go ahead and drop them in the Q&A now. Or if you'd like to talk about your specific needs with one of our team members after the webinar, we'd love to hear from you, whether that's reaching out to our customer success team or a member of our sales org. We also invite you to visit nutrient.io to learn more about Document Authoring SDK and all of the other solutions that we provide. You'll find a ton of helpful resources like our blog, product pages, guides, and demos. You can also sign up for a free trial of our solutions to test things out for yourself. All right, Milos, let's see how many questions we can get through. I saw a few coming in. The first, Are there any limitations on exporting documents, such as file size?
Oh, good question. There's no limitations. So this is 100% browser-based SDK. So the document actually lives in the browser. So as long as the browser can handle it, it can be any size, and you just download it and export it or do whatever. So zero limitation in that sense.
Great. All right. The next, can it open PPTX, so PowerPoint files?
No. So opening DOCX files, Office files, is just one out of many things that the SDK does, right? So we didn't necessarily build an Office editor, even though you absolutely can and should use it for that purpose because it does a very good job. But we are not really focused on building presentations per se, or building an Office editor per se, where we have a much bigger role to play with this SDK.
Makes sense. Okay. Let's see the next one. Is this a part of your web SDK?
I can understand how somebody could confuse the two. This is a standalone SDK, so it's not built into the web SDK. It's not a part of it, but it is something that's on our radar. We are thinking how we could make this very convenient for our web SDK customers, so that they can just, let's say, open a docx rather than a PDF in the web SDK and just start editing.
Great. Okay. Looks like we got one more. Can this be integrated into Salesforce?
Um, yes, it can. Salesforce, SharePoint, anything that you can think of, you can definitely integrate it. It's funny that you're asking about Salesforce, because Salesforce actually has so many limitations in terms of what you can use. Like, you can't really easily fetch remote resources, I believe. So our document SDK is very suitable for that kind of a deployment, because it works 100% in the browser.
Yeah, I've seen that in action, and it is amazing. All right. Well, that brings us to the end. That's all the time we have for today. So if we didn't get to your questions, no worries. We'll follow up directly after the webinar, as we always do. On behalf of Milos and the entire Nutrient team, thank you so much for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of your day, too.